in a couple of minutes.
BBC News with Gareth Barlow. Police in Moscow have started detaining people ahead of a rally in support of the jailed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Images show people on Pushkin Square, the focus of the protest, being taken to waiting buses. Thousands have already taken part in demonstrations in Russia's Far East and Siberia, where there were dozens of arrests. Residents in Wuhan have been marking the first anniversary of the coronavirus lockdown, which saw the Chinese city sealed off for more than 2 months. Wuhan is now bustling with activity again, but there are no celebrations. Tens of thousands of people in one of Hong Kong's most densely packed districts have been ordered to stay at home because of rising cases of the virus. The government plans to test every resident and process the results within 48 hours. New restrictions are coming to force as European countries try to tackle the spread of new coronavirus variants. In Norway, all non-essential shops must close. A nighttime curfew will come into force in the Netherlands this evening. There are reports that as many as 30 people may have been injured in a bomb blast at a house in Gaza. It's not clear what caused the explosion. The Israeli military is said to be investigating whether there was a failed attempt to launch a rocket across the border into Israel. A shootout in the Philippines between the authorities and a criminal group has left 13 people dead. A police officer and 12 followers of a fugitive were killed in the 5-hour gunfight on the island of Mindanao. The group were wanted for murder, drug trafficking, kidnap and robbery. And Sri Lanka's Health Minister Pavitra Waniarachi has contracted coronavirus weeks after promoting and consuming a supposed miracle remedy. The drink was made by a shaman who said the recipe came to him in a vision. Live from London, that's the latest BBC World News.
Thank you. And the news here every half an hour on the BBC World Service. This is Sports Hour with me, Caroline Barker. And if you missed the first half of the show, you can download our podcast for everything from sport in lockdown, missing your 2 front teeth and facing adversity head on. Free every week after the show goes out. Just search for Sports Hour on your normal podcast providers. Still to come, our sporting witness is South African and Leeds United footballer Lucas Radebe on celebrating winning the Africa Cup of Nations.
And unfortunately for me, I had to get back to it. I couldn't even enjoy the celebrations the day after and the trophy parade with the open top bus. But I saw everything on TV, in the cold Yorkshire.
But first, it's a year to the day before the Special Olympics World Winter Games start in Russia. It's a chance for 2,000 athletes with intellectual disabilities from more than 100 nations to compete in 7 sports and show off their talents, and also to help change perceptions of their community. Next year's event will be in Kazan. To look ahead, Olga Slutska, the president of Special Olympics Russia, is with us. Olga, exactly a year to go. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
It's very exciting because we feel a great support from everybody.
How tough has it been having to deal with the pandemic too?
Yes, we have this situation. We're sorry about that. But we believe in good. We believe that it will finish. We believe that scientists all over the world think about and create vaccine, which will help us to travel, to compete.
So fingers crossed things will go well. But give us an idea for those that don't know about the Special Olympics.
It keeps really this joy, humanity, this energy, which professional sports unfortunately lost because of commercialization, TV rights, a lot of things. It's a big show now. And our Special Olympics, we still have this openness, purity of idea of that sports can change in good way life of people.
Can you tell us perhaps some of the challenges that those with intellectual disabilities face in Russia?
I don't think that it's only Russian problem. It's historically like that. They were excluded from society. They live their lives, some people in institutions, and they didn't have much socialization. But now life changed everywhere. And I can tell you that, of course, our work and my goal is to introduce people with intellectual disabilities to major population. Because sometimes we don't want to see somebody else's problems. And Special Olympics, it's very important to support families which decided not to give to the institutions their children with mental disabilities, to raise these children in the families or adopt such children from the institutions. And for these families, we have 62 regional offices all over Russia. And our goal to open 85 regional representatives in 2025. And these games, I'm sure, will give boost for that.
But Russia is currently banned from competing and hosting various sporting events. But the Special Olympics has special dispensation. Why is that?
Our competition and our sports movement is not about seconds, minutes, records. Our sport achievement, it's the victory of the person. It's about the victory of the family. And we don't care how fast is this athlete. For himself, he's a champion of the world. He's the fastest one. Of course, it's a competition, and people and athletes worry, and athletes train a lot. But the Special Olympics helps to socialize and adapt people with mental disabilities to the world through sports. Sports is instrument not of egoistic achievements. It's different.
I just wish you every success with the event, with the tournament, and I've got no doubt if just one part of your passion comes across, then it will be an absolute success. So thank you, Olga. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot, and welcome to Kazan.
Olga Shlutska, the president of the Special Olympics in Russia, with that warm welcome. Well, someone who's set to compete next year is Jack Hale. Jack is an alpine skier with Down syndrome. I caught up with him and his mum Ronnie to see how excited they were at the prospect of competing in Russia.
My reaction is I'm feeling quite ready to get over there at the moment.
What about you then Ronnie? How's it been? Sort of everyone just trying to keep calm, knowing it's still a year away?
I think the emotions initially were just, when they say you want to shout from the rooftops, that's just what I wanted to do. You know, it's becoming more real as time goes on, but we know it's a long way off. But the more we think about it and the more we plan, the more excited we're getting.
Jack, tell me about your mum then. Does she like getting excited about things?
Yes. I mean, she's quite very joyful. She's fun. But like what she said, of course she's emotional, but like in herself, like she knows that she's proud of me.
Of course she is. Well, I take it you are, Ronnie. Don't say you're not now.
I can't deny that.
What does it feel like when you put the skis on and you're going down?
Going through different gates makes me feel like how exciting it is when you go downhill.
What about you, Mum? Because, I don't know, I think my mum would be in bits worried. Well, she is when I go skiing.
Well, seeing as he's a million times better than I will ever be, I'm the famous Bridget Jones special, I'm just always impressed. There's always a feeling of intrepidation, but I don't know, the guys just whiz down the hill and I'm just so impressed with them.
I think it's just, I take my hats off to my sisters because they're quite proud. They said, Jack, make sure you update me. I like to know what's going on. But they're very happy and they're quite emotional because they know they love me.
Are they any good at skiing?
Yes, they are.
Well, it's because I'm so competitive with my siblings, you see. I'm like, better than you at skiing. So they love watching you ski, do they?
They do, yes. I do like competitions. It doesn't matter if you get like a medal or a certificate award. It's always like taking part every single attempt, but I just fly by.
Oh yeah, you've got lots of medals. I've seen some of the pictures of your medals. Where are they near you at the moment?
Yes.
You bought one to show, haven't you? Well, one.
When I don't really get emotional, but I mean, when I get them, I feel that I was so relieved, really. You know, it's quite impressive what people do again.
It's been tough at the moment, hasn't it? You know, we've not been able to go out so much as we want to. How have you found that, and how's that has it stopped your training?
Yes. Did a physio guy called Matt, and he has really helped me towards my skiing.
I mean, right now, because obviously there's the shielding, we were lucky that we got back on to the dry slopes for about 2 or 3 weeks, got a taster for it, but obviously back down to full lockdown, and there's no way you can practice skiing. You can do a virtual ski, and not quite the same. But you've got a guy that's been doing personal training, which has been fun, and there's a real goal now, and so there's a real incentive to do that, and with your physio, and you've got people supporting you in your village. It gives everybody something to look forward to. And so you've got people sending videos to you. You've got all your buddies from Special Olympics all over England, and you're communicating. So there's a huge it's a huge family support. And so, you're really, really lucky to have this goal. So really, really honoured.
Hey, you deserve it. You deserve it, Jack. Hey, look, it's been lovely talking to you both. I wish you every best of luck for a year from now, and I look forward to seeing you on those slopes, Jack.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jack and Ronnie Hale, all the best of luck to Jack when he reaches Russia in a year's time. Next, though, to the world of finance and a new app designed by a footballer to help children tackle money. Gimme app is the brainchild of Sweden's Philip Hangland. He's been telling me why he came up with the idea.
In Sweden, we see so many young people now ending up at the enforcement agency because they're not able to pay their bills. And that's just because when they're buying stuff online, they're using credits. They're paying with money they don't have. So I think within the coming 3-5 years, probably what we're going to see is the children, turning 18, 19, 20, they will actually be in the risk zone. It's hard even for us, for grown-ups, to handle money right now because they're so easy to spend it. So pretty much how people tend to do today is actually, they're scared of children making those mistakes, and maybe they pay for their children or just don't want their children to go online or buy stuff online. It's not really a good way to do it because it is from the mistakes that children learn. Was
that you, Philip, when you were older, playing football, getting a bit more money? Was that you? Yeah, that was me. I made a lot of mistakes with money. Maybe the most obvious one was when I actually went professional. I went from Stockholm in Sweden to play for a club in the Netherlands, and that step in my career was obviously very good, but why I actually did it was because of the contract and the amount of money that I would get just to play football. And to be honest, I knew when I was signing the contract that it wasn't the right environment for me to go there. But it was really hard to say no to that kind of money. And also, once I started playing there, earning more did not make me happier. So I learned a lot about different things around money, but that's maybe the one that I learned most from. Because that's something that's always sort of rightly or wrongly we think about footballers. They've got all this money, and then we see problems. We see them just spend it.
Yeah, and that's probably true in many ways. I would say everyone who's become professional in football has been playing football since they were 6, 7, 8 years old. That's been their passion. That's what they've become really good at. And when they, become professional and they start earning a lot of money, they haven't really got maybe the education or the thoughtfulness of that the career will actually end sometime. So usually what you can see is that when someone is getting a lot more money or their paycheck is going up a lot, they actually tend to spend it on short-term things like a car or maybe a better house and so forth. So that's the way our brain works. We tend just to do things short-term, unfortunately.
Yeah, pride a huge part of it. Also, not just for footballers then, for kids, for anyone that's learning with this app growing up, you can stop that element coming into it. That's, I guess, the idea is to stop it before it gets to that stage. So when did you come up with this idea? How did you think, right, this is what we need to target?
So actually for me, I had a really bad injury in football. I tore off my ACL. So I was out from football for a year's time. And to be honest, I really wanted something else to do. And I live in Sweden. Like, Sweden is probably the most cashless society in the world. So here it was very obvious that, okay, children are not using digital money. They're doing everything online. They're playing games. They have their like social connections there, and like everything is happening there except from money, which I thought was so strange. Why aren't like banks or other actors or schools, why aren't they creating digital tools so that children can learn more about money? So that's how I came up with it. And then I just got some help to create the first app, which was launched in March 2015. And since then, I think it's been kind of a success story. Like, we have 1.5 million downloads, which I think is huge. And it's only going better. So what we're trying to do anyway is to make sure that the children growing up today are more capable to tackle all the challenges that they will face when they're old and when they grow older.
Is it something as well that you think maybe clubs should be mandated for their younger players to do?
Yeah, definitely. I've been reaching out actually to some sports club in the UK, but also in Sweden, just to see if we can help to educate them. But we're also right now working with a lot of schools in Sweden so we can get digital lessons like e-learning tools out in the schools so that we can teach children more about personal finance. The whole education system is shifting right now, not only in general, but also due to COVID. So everyone is learning everything online now. So that will also be the same thing with personal finance.
Is this it for you now? Now that you've got over 1.5 million, is that the football done? Is that the buzz taken over?
I don't know. I loved, playing football as I've also been running the startup. And I think it's been like a great balance to actually work out every day. And to be honest, it's my passion, and to be able to get paid for it's just been great. But we'll see. I've been through like 5 surgeries for the past 6 years. So my body is really, asking for me to stop. But I don't know. If the right offer comes, which is not about money, then I'll probably jump on board again and continue.
Swedish footballer Philip Hagler. Time now for Sporting Witness, and this week we celebrate the South African footballer Lucas Radebe and the pinnacle of his career, winning the Africa Cup of Nations 25 years ago. Sports Hour's Ashley Byrne has more.
It's the 3rd of February 1996, and hosts South Africa are taking on Tunisia in the final of the African Cup of Nations.
We were sitting in the changing room pinching ourselves. We had that confidence. We felt that this is our time.
South Africa were banned from the tournament under apartheid, and it's the first time the Rainbow Nation are taking part.
And when the game started, we felt that there was nothing that can stop us. We were a family. We were black and white Indian in that team. We shared everything. And I think it woken South Africa to realize that who we are, not just as footballers, but as people.
Lucas Radebe was born on the outskirts of Soweto in April 1969. Growing up in a close-knit family surrounded by his parents and 9 brothers and sisters in a small 4-room house, Radebe didn't have to look far for inspiration as he and his siblings navigated their way through a childhood of poverty and danger.
My older brother was absolutely fantastic, I think, better than me. And that is the person that actually inspired us, because during those days, there were no opportunities of playing abroad, and we had very little exposure into international football. I mean, even on telly. So my brother, which passed on, the one Abraham, who was the eldest, he played for a local club. And then the girls were netball and athletics as well, which was brilliant because we were always doing something. You know, we're always up and about, but at the same time trying to survive the crime and the violence in the area.
At the age of 15, Radaby was sent to finish his education near the town of Zeerust, around 300 kilometres away from the family home, and while playing football with his classmates, caught the eye of a scout from South Africa's biggest club, Kaizer Chiefs. Radaby was offered a trial and soon found himself embarking on a life-changing journey.
The excitement in the township, you know, seeing the Kaizer Chiefs van driving past, because it's a massive club. So everyone was excited for me. And obviously my mother was not happy that I had to abandon my education to come and pursue a career in football, which, to be honest, it wasn't favorable for us because football was just part-time back in South Africa.
However, an incident in 1991 almost robbed the young defender of his career and life.
I was driving from my mum's house, going to buy drinks. And while I was driving, we've had a gunshot. But that time, we were used to gunshots like it was a firecracker. That's how bad it were. And I could feel my back was on fire. And when I reached and felt my back and I looked at my hand, it was full of blood. And that's when my left leg started going numb. Obviously, my brother took over the wheel, drove straight to the hospital. My first question to the doctor was, will I be able to play football again? Because obviously I couldn't feel my leg.
Amazingly, Radaby's wound wasn't as serious as he had feared.
It went through flesh and it came out of my thigh. Otherwise, if it would have gone straight through, it would have caused more damage in terms of the vital organs. And to be honest, that changed my life.
So was anyone ever arrested or charged?
It was never investigated.
After 5 years and over 100 appearances for Kaizer Chiefs, Radaby was sold to Leeds United as part of a deal that was mainly for his teammate Philemon Masinga. The pair packed their bags and headed to the slightly colder climate of Yorkshire in the north of England. So what were your first impressions of the city you would be calling home?
It was a shock to my system. You know, it was freezing cold. It was wet. And I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, at the club. But for me, I think it was a great opportunity, you know, that to have left South Africa to pursue a career which was doubtful at that stage because obviously Leeds haven't seen me play.
Radaby would go on to play for Leeds United for almost 12 years, as well as enjoying a long international career. And in 1996, he returned to South Africa, who'd been invited to host the African Cup of Nations, now that the country was led by Nelson Mandela.
Being in a bus, driving to the game, seeing a sea of people walking with the flags and the different dress codes, oh man, it was unbelievable. It was something that you pinch yourself. It was an amazing time, you know, to be alive. We were bringing Africa closer to South Africa. It felt absolutely, you know, it brings back emotions, but beautiful emotions, because, you know, most of the games were played close to Soweto. It meant it was historic for us.
Playing in front of expectant crowds, Radaby and his teammates delivered through each phase of the tournament, beating a strong, star-studded Ghana team convincingly to set up a final with Tunisia.
And it's a dangerous position for the Tunisians. Level with the penalty area, a few metres in from the touchline.
Tunisia was a good team. They got to the finals, having played some great teams and get great results, and had great individuals in terms of players. It was very tense, you know, 0-0 first half, and in second half, I mean, it was close. And then come the substitution, where Mark Williams, he was the hero. He came on and scored 2 goals. He sent South Africa crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 South African shirts. Kamala floats it in. Fish is there with the head to the far post. Oh, well saved. The ball still bubbling around. Williams is there. And Mark Williams with a header has put South Africa ahead.
But while the whole of the country celebrated the victory, Lucas Radaby had other obligations.
And unfortunately for me, I had to get back.
What is up, y'all? What's good?
Y'all ready for
I
this?
couldn't even enjoy the celebration the day after and the trophy parade with the open top bus. You know, I had to be back in Leeds, but I saw everything on TV. I'm sitting, in the cold Yorkshire.
South Africa's finest footballing achievement was witnessed by President Nelson Mandela, and in 2001, Radaby helped the city of Leeds welcome Madiba during an official visit. To his great honour, Mandela would call him his hero.
And I was right in the corner, and I remember Madiba coming in through the door, and there was like silence. The feeling was different from everyone because we had such an awe. And then I remember he came to me and he looked up